So you want to have loads of textures to create amazing architecture renderings and illustrations, but don't know how or don't have the money to get it? No worries, in this video I'm gonna show you some tips to build up your own library without spending a single penny. Alright, before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Now on to the list. The first and most important tip for texture hunting is to learn how to use Google's image search engine. And I know most of you will think this is lame, but let me show you how I do it. This method is still where I've gotten most of my textures so far. So let's say you want to get a concrete texture to do a collage illustration. So you head to Google and just type concrete textures, right? But the results come out as small pictures like 400 pixels, and this isn't something you could use it. So here comes the trick. You go to Tools, a menu will drop down, then under Size, filter for larger than. Now it's up to you. I usually go between 2 and 4 megapixels. Bigger than that you don't find as many good results as expected. Keep in mind that most images might have copyright agreements, so as long as you only use it as a part of your design or for personal use, there won't be any problems. Okay, now this is probably something you already know, but let me talk about it just in case. Usually a good texture is not only with good quality, but also stackable. Well, there are many names for that: tileable, stackable, seamless. So when doing a Google search, add one of these words along. I usually go with seamless because it is widely known and most textures websites also go with it. With just the right Google search you can get almost every basic material to start off your library. But there are times that you won't find any seamless textures, so as an end bonus to this video, I'm going to explain how to transform a simple texture into seamless, so stick to the end of the video to learn more. Alright, good old Google doesn't always suit our needs, so let's take a look at free websites that you can grab yourself a couple of files. And before we jump into that, let me just say that most of these websites are paid, but they offer either small collections of free samples, which is already a bonus for starters, or a daily free credit. And this is actually to encourage you to get to know their products and later on pay to get more stuff. So starting off with one of my favorites, textures.com. This website has probably infinite options for textures, and anything you can think of, there's a texture for that here. So if you create an account, you will have 15 credits to spend daily, and usually you will not be able to get the maximum size, but the minimum size is good enough. The textures cost roughly between 3 or 4 credits, so you can get 3 images per day, maybe 4, it really depends. It doesn't seem like a lot, but the idea here is for you to save and organize them into folders to have your own collection, right? In this website they also provide the same textures, but in a tileable file, which is pretty cool. The next one is Poliigon. Most of the websites that I'll show here are more into the CG world. This one especially because you can not only get the high quality textures, but all the necessary maps to render it perfectly. You can use it on V-Ray for SketchUp for example and get extraordinary results. Keep in mind that not only a diffuse map is useful for Photoshop post-production, you can overlay for example a bump map to create some kind of roughness in a texture. The textures downloaded from this website are slightly heavier, but that's because the quality is beyond amazing. In Poliigon, there is the free assets section under textures. There, you will find tons of freebies, and as of today, there isn't a limit of how many free downloads you can get in a day, so enjoy. So also talking about CGI materials, also known as PBR materials, it can be found in many other websites for free. There are tons out there. I'm gonna list some on the video description. 3dtextures.me, texturesheaven.com, freepbr.com and cc0textures.com have the same approach. They offer these complete packs of materials, some free, some paid. But an architecture texture library isn't composed only by materials or PBRs, so let's take a look at some people and vegetation cutouts. For cutouts, there are loads of free stuff out there, but for very high quality files, a subscription to a website is well worth it. I'm gonna go over my favorites. Those are the ones that I've gone through to compose my own library. Starting off with Skalgubbar, this one is totally free, and it was the first one that I discovered. They have a lot of good stuff, and some of its cutouts are so well known that you can spot them across post-productions. Then Nonscandinavia, also totally free. You won't get the highest qualities here, but definitely some good ones to compose your library. Now, if you're looking for a very professional option, there's Mr. Cutout. The website has so many textures that I think I haven't seen all of them yet. And if you create an account, you get 2.5 megabytes of download per day, which is pretty cool, but you can only get the regular ones, unfortunately. And as of today, this one is one of my favorite. And that is because you can not only get people there, but vegetations, vehicles, other objects, animals, and so many other textures. It is definitely a complete package. On the video description, I'll leave many other options that you can also check it out. Well, an architecture texture library still isn't only composed of textures and realistic cutouts. You gotta have some different styles. Therefore, I've selected a couple of options of these types as well. Now, this one is really cool. It is called Pimp My Drawing with vectorized cutouts. You can download cars, trees, and people, either in DWG or AI files for free. Another option is the one that I created a couple of months ago. It's the Scale Figures pack with various types of people and vegetation, all in this sketchy look. And these figures are awesome because you can add them not only into perspectives but also into any 2D drawings like sections and elevations, and even so in isometrics. If you want to know more about it, there's a full video, so check the video description. All of these websites that are totally for free or give you a couple of downloads per day are awesome, but they oftentimes need support, so if you liked and use their stuff, consider supporting. One last place that I go to search textures and cutouts, and that is Pinterest. I don't know why, but there I can easily find college type vegetation. Oftentimes you cannot find it in high quality, but it's worth it nonetheless. Now, with all of these options, you can start to build up your own library of textures and cutouts. Remember, there's no need to download them all in a day. You just have to remember that every time you look for textures, save it in a categorized folder. I often won't change the file name so that when I place into the folder, it will warn me if I already have that image. This way I won't have duplicates. I almost forgot to mention, but Arcanine also has some textures. They offer theme packages with fair prices. You can get skies, vegetations, roads, and so on in very high quality files. I'm going to link them on the video description as well if interested. So what other websites do you use it that I haven't talked about? Share with the others in the comments, I would love to expand my list. As promised, here's the bonus. We're going to transform a simple texture into seamless using Adobe Photoshop. Let's take a sample image for this example. Look how this image, when placed next to each other, presents seams that aren't very interesting for both post-productions or 3D and rendering. So let's start getting an even brightness and contrast across the image. To do that, first duplicate your layer using Ctrl J, then go to Filter, Other, and High Pass. I usually do this command twice and you'll see why. The first time we use a bigger radius to take care of overall contrast, something like 70 to 100 pixels. Hit OK, and go to Edit, Fade High Pass. Select the blend mode to luminosity. This works best for more detailed and contrasty textures, but let's apply on this one because it has some darker corners and spots. Now lower the opacity a bit and merge down the layers. I'm going to save a copy for future comparison. Then let's do the high pass again, but this time with a smaller radius for details, maybe something like 5 pixels. Now this time just lower the opacity like so. Alright, merge down the layer again. As you can see, the image is already looking much more uniform. We had some darker parts on the bottom that have disappeared. If you thought the image got too dark as a whole, just use some level adjustments to brighten everything up. Once finished with this part, it is time to get rid of the seams. Remember to always make a copy of the layer. Now it is important to have a sense of how big the image is for the next step. In this case, it is roughly 1000 by 1000 pixels. So now go to Filter, Other, Offset, and offset the image by half of the actual texture size. that is 500 by 500. So the seam has already showed up. So now using the clone stamp, shortcut S, we're going to clean up these seams. Hold Alt to sample a position, then release and left click to paint over. So you keep painting until all the seams have disappeared. Now the texture is ready to use. Test out if needed and redo any steps also if needed. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you liked it, and as always, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Follow us on all.graphics on Instagram for more content, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!